thank you very much. And thank you, Gertrude, for inviting me to speak. And I'm going to talk about my story, and I'm going to put it in context of finding my light. Um, I guess I'll start off with how I lost my light, and then I'll talk to you about how it showed up, and then I'll give you suggestions for finding your light. Okay? So let me just start off from the beginning. I grew up in a domestic violence household. And coming from a domestic violence household, you don't know what's going to happen. You're always on edge. You're always ready, uh, for something to happen. So you're kind of hyper vigilant all the time and just on edge. And that caused me to lose hope because I prayed to God for him to take me out of that environment because I kept saying, I don't belong here. This is not where I belong. And it was very painful. And because God didn't answer my prayers, I lost hope. Okay. And I remember having a conversation with my mother because I think for me, up to age about 11, I was very verbal about my feelings. So I was talking to her one day and I said, I don't know why you're with him. He disrespects you. He calls you out of your name. He thinks you're stupid. And I saw the look on her face when I said it. And I saw a look of pain and hurt. And as a result of that, I start shutting down because I thought to myself, if you tell people the truth, they're going to be hurt by it. And so that caused me to start internalizing things versus speaking out about things. As a result of being in that kind of environment, um, because I felt like I was being punished, I felt like I was a bad person. And my stepfather, he would call me like stupid names and things, but he would only say it when my mother wasn't there. And I, knowing that as a child, you know who has the power in the household. You automatically know. And I knew that if I told her, it would be a big problem, it would get blown up, and I would be the center of everything. Plus, she went to work, and then I still had to be with my stepfather. And I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to start a problem. And so I learned to suppress how they showed up in my life. Low self esteem, bad choices in relationships, depression. I was depressed as a child and I felt sorry for myself a lot. And I did a lot of self sabotaging. And that was based on what I heard about myself. So at that point, I had very, very, very low self esteem, low self image, and I was my hardest critic. And so one day I was reading an article in an old magazine by, I think her name was Dear Abby, and she had a quiz that said, is this going on with you? Is that going on with you? Well, at the end of that quiz, I failed because I had no self esteem. So that was the beginning of me realizing what was wrong with me, is that I needed to be my best friend. So that worked out pretty good because I started stepping out there, I started singing, I started getting rewards, I started speaking, but still inside of me was this pain. I didn't even know it was there. I had no knowledge about it. So another way that it showed up is that I stopped going to classes in college and I got kicked out because my grade point average was low. So I decided to go to California and hang out with my dad, who I hadn't known before. So long story short, I eventually wound up in a battered women's shelter. I was the program coordinator. I, did all the programs. I did all the counseling. And during that time, I became deathly ill, physically ill. Every time I put the key and the knob and the key thing, I would get an instant headache. And I said, this is kind of weird, you know. Added to that, the first week of the job, I had to take off sick. So I said, that's weird. I've never had to take off sick after being at work for just a week. And so what happened is one day I was talking with a client and I just got so full and I just kind of broke down and I went to the hospital and the doctor said I was suffering from stress. That was the beginning of my journey. The illness was the blessing because I started going to therapy and I started remembering that I came from where they were. But the ironic part about it, I really started disliking battered women, and I couldn't figure out why I disliked them so. But all of this became to surface after I started going to therapy. And of course, that's a long road. I mean, the miracle doesn't happen overnight. You have to put the work into it, and you have to believe that there's something better for you. Because all of the time that I was going through that, I said, you're a nice person. People like you. I started looking at the qualities about myself that were reflected to me by other people. So after going through the therapy and everything, I I got a lot better and I started dealing with all the pain. And I had to go back and heal the little girl because she was so damaged. And during the process, I began to write because I was a poet as a little girl, as 12 years old. I always wrote poetry. So after that, I still, after I got, well, I don't think I got well. I just feel like I got better. And that was a result of the illness. So now I'm going to tell you um, how the ways that I got my life back. And the real way was I began to walk in faith, not by sight. And the ways that I began to do that is I began to create real confidence in myself. I started being with people that accentuated that. I started giving positive praises to myself. And I eliminated anybody that didn't have the same feeling about me. Because you can't get well being with people that are always bringing you down or always saying negative things to you. People tell me all the time, oh, it doesn't bother me. Yes, it does, because it's going internal. So, how to walk by faith? Take the first step. We fall, we get back up again. We have mistakes along the way. We must lose the idea of can't in our vocabulary because can't doesn't even exist. When we say we can't do something, that means we're not going to do it. Okay? Travel towards your destination. Keep the bigger picture in mind. And Stephen Covey says it so well when he says, begin with the end in mind. Visualize your final destination. Number 3, journey through opposition. Don't think that because something is from God, it's going to be smooth sailing, because it's not. It's not going to be any smooth sailing. And number 4, ride out the emotional roller coaster. If 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 it was God, then walk by faith, even in the face of opposition. You will have courage to ride it out. Faith is the first step, even when you don't see the staircase. Those are the things that I wanted to share with you today. And that's what led me into being a relationship recycle coach. Statistics say that women return to their abusers 7 times. My goal is to reduce the number of times that she reduce or eliminate the number of times that she returns. And also, I do this for the kids because the kids are the innocent people in the background that don't have a voice. And the woman's decisions affect the children. But she's so wrapped up in the abuse because that's president that she forgets about the kids. And I do know that mothers love their children, but sometimes they subject them to things that cause them additional trauma, just as my mother did. And she wasn't even aware of it. That's why I do what I do. And I'm a recycle coach because I believe everybody's got what they need already. They just might need to tweak it a little bit and add some other things and stay persistent until they reach their goal. And that's why I do what I do. And I would like to end now because with this saying, because I think it's so profound, and I'd like to share this with you. Walk tall as the trees, live strong as the mountains, be gentle as the spring winds, keep the warmth of the summer sun in your heart, and the Great Spirit will always be with you. So stay there, stay in it, stay there, don't give up. Just muscle up the courage to weather the storm, because in the end, it's going to be worth it. Because what I did is I chronicled all of these events in a book of poems called Splashes Through Life. So the lady that you see here today is not the lady that started off. Okay? So thank you very much. Ashe, and God bless you all.